Chris Gordy here of Locked On SEC. Chris, Alabama and LSU, this year's version has playoff implications as it usually does, but it seems like it's even bigger for an LSU team and Brian Kelly, who are trying to stay afloat in that college football playoff picture. What makes this the biggest game of the week when it comes to the implications of who wins and who loses?
Well, yeah, this has been one of the biggest games of the college football world, really for the past 20 years. I know it's one that Alabama has had the advantage in a lot of them, but the TV ratings speak for themselves. There's a reason why CBS flexed this to their night game. People tune in for LSU Bama. And this one is going to be strange, guys, because it's quite the opposite of what we were used to through all those Les Miles years, where it was dominant defense, average to bad offense, and LSU would lose games like 10-3 and these like defensive slugfest. LSU has the number one offense in the country right now. I mean, Jane Daniels is playing on another level. Even in their two losses against Ole Miss and Florida State, the offense still put up 400 plus yards every week they've played. So people are kind of defaulting, going, well, it's Alabama at home. I get it. Alabama's defense has looked much better in recent weeks. I still have my questions about how good are they? Who's the best offense they face? Yeah, they faced Ole Miss a couple weeks back, but Lane Kiffin always pees down his leg when he faces Nick Saban. So I can't put too much into that one. I just think Jane Daniels, if they come out and they execute and they're scoring points, it's going to be the onus is on Jalen Milroe. Hey, bro, don't make the big mistake, which we've seen him do time and time again this year. Throws in inopportune interception, gets sacked, fumbles the ball away. He's the most sacked quarterback in the SEC this year. So I think this could be a shootout. If LSU is setting the tone and they're scoring and they're scoring and they're scoring, keep in mind, touchdowns, not field goals. I think LSU is going to feel really good about their chances in this one.
If there's a bedwetting contest for big games, and you're talking about Lane Kiffin or Brian Kelly, you're going to need some rubber sheets, brother, because it's going to get ugly in there. But with that being said, what is it about this LSU team that we're talking about a potential two-loss team in the SEC conference that's not potentially strong this year, that we're saying, hey, this team could make the playoff? What's the difference between this team and other two-loss teams that we're seeing perhaps?
Well, keep in mind, this game a year ago, Brian Kelly put on his big boy pants. He went toe-to-toe at Nick Saban and said, I'm not going to double overtime. I'm winning this thing right here. Went for two and won it in Baton Rouge. So Brian Kelly, I think, likes these kind of games. It's the whole reason why he came to the SEC. He wants to play in these big moments, and I think they will rise to the occasion. The big difference, Kenton, is we're hearing all the rumblings about Jane Daniels. The DNA that he has this year, being that super senior, he's got that Joe Burrow-like attitude. Now, he's not Joe Burrow on the field. He's still very, very productive. But the whole thing with him coming in at 4 or 5 a.m. and looking at film, Brian Kelly goes to the facility after the Missouri game, turns on the lights. Jaden's the only one in the building, and he's already watching film. It's those things that are making Jaden Daniels the great quarterback that he is. And they're taking shots down the field. I mean, it's not just the number one offense. They are number one in passing attempts down the field, yards per pass attempt. I think it's 11.5 they average. They're taking deep shots. That's how Steve Sarkisian in Texas beat Alabama earlier this year. They kept the foot on the gas pedal. They kept chucking deep, and they said, this isn't enough to beat Alabama. We're not going to run the football and go, oh, this is good enough. We'll try to get out with the win. They kept the foot on the gas pedal. And the craziest stat, guys, to me is, remember that 2011 game of the century, Alabama LSU was like 9-6?
Yep.
Since that game, these teams have played 12 times. In 10 of those games that Alabama has won, they've held LSU to 17 points or less. In the two games that LSU's won, they've scored more than 17. Newsflash, LSU ain't scoring 17 or less this weekend. They're scoring at least more than that. My line of demarcation is, I think it's 30. If LSU gets to 30, can Jalen Milroe and that Bama offense get to 30? Look, LSU's defense is their weakness, so maybe they can, but LSU's goal is to make this a shootout. If you're Alabama, the goal is slow this game down, eat clock, keep getting first downs, running the ball, and let's try to get out of here with a close victory. So it's going to be fascinating.
Well, you've made a strong case for LSU, but are you going to go all the way? Are you predicting an LSU victory in Tuscaloosa? How do you think this plays out?
It's nighttime in Tuscaloosa, Dono. It's so hard. It's so hard for me to get out of bad habits. But look, Sark in Texas already did it. We got to clear our minds of like dominant Nick Saban in Alabama. Some teams, some years, they're just not as good, right? They played with fire. Ole Miss was in the game till the very end. A&M was in the game till the very end. So, like, they've played with fire here. They've pulled out close wins. They even held off Arkansas, who was coming back on them a couple weeks ago. So, I just think if LSU executes, they don't turn the ball over. They take care of the football. LSU's got a great chance to win. But look, I'll predict LSU in the upset. I'll go 34-31 LSU in a shootout. But man, first sign of mistake, if LSU is, 4th and inches and they go for it, they don't get it. That's what killed them week 1 against Florida State, where they only scored 24 points. They turned the ball over twice in the red zone because they couldn't execute. Those are the big moments that will matter for Alabama and LSU this weekend.
Gordy, before we get you out of here, number 12 Missouri at number 2 Georgia. Week in and week out, we say this is the week Georgia's going to trip. They're going to face a challenge. And to this point, in every game, we've at least expected that the dogs have rolled. Now with Mizzou, who played them so close last year in Columbia, is there any way Eli Drinkwitz and company can at least make this thing a ball game?
Well, the key is nobody picked Mizzou, right? We all need to pick Georgia because a few weeks ago when people were going, I think Kentucky can beat Georgia, they show up and they blow them out. Yeah. A week ago, people are like, I think Florida may be able to beat Georgia. They show up and blow them out. So this week, no, we should all be predicting Georgia to blow out. It's going to be 50-3. Georgia's going to have no problems because the minute we start picking against them, I think Kirby Smart takes all those clips from Locked On and they just put them on a reel and play them in the locker room.
He's got his own Connor Stallions who's just watching Locked On shows.
Absolutely. And he's letting all his players know, everyone in the country doubts you, Georgia. It's like, oh my God, you haven't lost a game in like 2 years. Chill out, Kirby. But no, I think Missouri's got a chance. Again, same thing, hostile environment. They're going in Athens. If this was in Como, I'd be picking Missouri, but Brady Cook's been fantastic. Cody Schrader's number 2 rusher in the SEC this year, running the football great. Luther Burden is a star in the making at wide receiver. They're going to have to win a shootout. Carson Beck's been very good, even in the absence of Brock Bowers. Ladd McConkey stepped up, so Mizzou has a chance. 15.5 points seems like a lot to me, guys. I like Georgia to win at home, but I like Mizzou to cover. I think they keep this close till the end.
Yeah, Gordy, give me Georgia 50-3 in this one, actually. I'm going to have to side with the Bulldogs. Chris Gordy of Locked On SEC, thanks for joining Locked On College Football Kickoff Live.
All right, thanks, guys.